A gang leader, ruthless and cold, kidnapped the son of a wealthy, powerful man. But what if this is more than just about the ransom? What if it's about something deeper, something far more personal than anyone could have imagined? This isn't just a kidnapping, it's a game where the stakes are far higher than you think. Why him? Why Joe? The question burns in everyone's mind. Was it just about money, or does it run deeper, entwining them in a tangled web of revenge, ambition, and betrayal? Hold tight, because this story will challenge everything you thought you knew about power, wealth, and survival. The fire flickered in the dim hideout, casting shadows that seemed to stretch like grasping hands along the walls. Joe, heir to a vast fortune, was no longer a man of privilege but a prisoner, caught in the web of a ruthless gang. Bound by ropes, his body aching from the strain, and surrounded by men who answered to one name, Ode. The gang leader, feared, revered, and utterly dangerous, had done more than just kidnap him. Joe felt it deep within him, this was never just about the money. There was something dark and personal at play. Something with his name on it. Joe, still trying to piece together the fragments of his situation, clenched his fist. He was supposed to be the one in control, the one who commanded respect and influence. But now, here he was, sitting in the dirt, an unwelcome guest in the dimly lit den of Ode and his gang. The glint of steel from a sharpened blade caught his eye. Ode. The name echoed in Joe's mind like a sinister drumbeat. But it wasn't just the blade that unsettled him, it was Ode himself. There was something about him. Cold. Calculating. There was a chilling depth behind his eyes that kept Joe on edge, a presence that made him feel small and vulnerable despite his wealth. Every move Ode made was calculated, deliberate. His hands moved with practiced ease, the rhythmic sound of sharpening steel punctuating the silence that wrapped around them. Joe watched, trying to control his growing unease. His chest tightened, the air thick with the stench of danger. "What do you want from me?" he finally spat, his voice trembling despite his attempt at bravado. Ade's eyes flicked up, locking with Joe's. The faintest smirk curled at the edge of his lips, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "You're a terrible liar." Joe's heart skipped a beat. He hadn't realized how intensely he'd been watching Ode, but now that it was out, he couldn't shake the uncomfortable feeling in his gut. Something about this man, this beast, stirred something in him. Was it fear? Was it respect? Or was it something far darker? "You're not like them," Ode said, his voice cold, dismissive. "Like who?" Joe shot back, trying to maintain his cool. The game was shifting, and Joe knew it. The others. The ones who beg, who cry, who offer their freedom for a few coins. Ade's gaze never wavered. "But you? You act like you're still in control." "I am in control," Joe snapped, though the conviction in his voice was already wavering. Ade's smile faded, and his eyes darkened. "We'll see how long that lasts," he murmured, his voice low and threatening. The words hung in the air like a challenge, or a promise. Joe couldn't tell which, but his gut told him it was something worthy. His mind raced, trying to make sense of everything. Days had blurred together. The sound of coins shifting in the hideout, the low hum of the gang preparing for their next move, it was all part of something bigger. Something Joe couldn't quite grasp. The ransom demands had been made. His father, the great tycoon, the man who controlled half the city's wealth, had refused to pay. Joe couldn't believe it. Was his father really this proud? This cold? Was it pride that kept him from paying, or was there something deeper at play? As the days wore on, the tension between them grew. Ode, for reasons Joe couldn't fathom, never grew impatient. He was calm, composed, and cruel in his restraint. But even Ode couldn't keep the darkness inside him at bay forever. One day, Ode broke the silence. "You don't sit still very well, do you?" Joe stiffened, meeting his gaze with defiance. "Maybe I don't like being caged." Ade's eyes flickered, and for a moment, there was something more than the usual icy detachment. It was a glimpse of something broken, something real. A cage. He chuckled softly, the sound almost cruel. You've been here 3 days, and you call this a cage. Try living in a place where the walls keep you trapped. Where there's no way out, no light. The word struck Joe harder than he expected. Was this how Ode saw the world? Was that why he had become this monster? Joe wasn't sure he wanted to know. But the darkness in Heir's eyes told a story Joe wasn't ready to hear, but couldn't ignore. Joe's voice faltered, but he pushed back. So, what? You became a criminal. Heir's eyes narrowed, his expression darkening further. We all run from something, Joe. Some of us just don't pretend otherwise. The words hung between them, thick with meaning, thick with something Joe couldn't quite comprehend. The gang's movements were shifting, their plans becoming more chaotic, more desperate. Heir's quiet control began to unravel. There were whispers now, whispers about a plan, one that wasn't just about money. The tension in the hideout grew heavier by the day, a palpable pressure that made it hard to breathe. Joe's mind raced. He was no longer just a pawn in this game. Was he something more? Or was he simply the tool Ode needed to exact revenge, to finish what had been started long ago? Days turned into a blur of claustrophobic moments and fleeting conversations. As the walls closed in, Joe knew something big was coming, but he couldn't piece it all together. His father's silence gnawed at him. There was something deeper at play here, something more than just money. Then, the truth came to light. Joe had always thought his father was a man of ruthless business decisions, of iron fist and cold eyes. But when he learned the truth, the real reason behind his kidnapping, he couldn't believe it. His father wasn't just a businessman. He wasn't just a tycoon. He was tied to Heir's past in ways Joe never could have imagined. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about power. It was about revenge. And Joe, whether he liked it or not, was caught right in the middle. The tension in the hideout hit a boiling point as the gang prepared for their next move. Joe, still bound, felt the weight of the situation pressing in on him. But he wasn't just a hostage anymore. Not in his mind. His future, and Heir's, were bound together in ways neither of them could have predicted. And as they slipped into the shadows, the question burned at the back of Joe's mind: would he escape this alive? Or would their fates, tangled in a web of betrayal, greed, and revenge, destroy them both? The answers were closer than Joe realized. But the real question was, who would break first? Would Joe's will to survive overcome the horrors lurking in the dark? Or would Heir's dangerous past swallow them both whole? This story is far from over. You've only seen the tip of the iceberg, and the real twists are yet to come. Stay tuned for part 3, because you won't believe what's coming next. Secrets will be revealed. Loyalties will be tested. And no one will be left unscathed. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. This is one story you don't want to miss. The game is just beginning. Thanks for staying tuned till now. To all my returning subscribers, you're the best, and to my new subscribers, I love you, and until next time on the part 3, bye bye.